But so I asked earlier, what has the movements for change been up to? That's what some Ghanaians are asking. I'll tell you what they've been up to after this break.
He believes that he is the solution to Ghana's failing economy after several tries by the New Patriotic Party and the NDC. He says it is time for Ghana to try him for that liberation that they want in terms of having money and cash in their pocket.
So what Ghana says na a chance yadi adefo fro bi ba a afei ebema Ghana for yetimi akoyanim a yenko yechidim. It is time for us to elect a leader who is non-partisan and can defend the interests of Ghana and not of parties.
Further indicated that he's ready to face Dr. Makud.
Yeminia John ebeye nyina obeye dada. Yenim di obetimi aye wabeye dada. Bibi fufuro bia ni wa ebebe biu. Usha minua ketwa Alhaji Bawumia Asusu a na oya vice president. Why vice president for almost 8 years now. The presidency and the vice presidency is one ticket.
Some members of the Movement for Change shared why they are endorsing the initiative.
So, right after his exit from the New Patriotic Party, Alan Kode Chiramantin moved to form a new political party called the Movement for Change. I think that was sometime in September 25 or thereabout. And they've been very busy, apparently, trying to, build, to mobilize, their support base and so on. The machine actually is being oiled towards the 2024 campaign. And you heard him. He says that Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia has been vice president for almost 8 years, and he thinks that the vice president has nothing to offer. And then he says the same thing about the former president, John Dramani Mahama. And so Ghanaians should try him. And I'm talking about Alan Kojo Chiramantin. Now, we as a production team asked ourselves, well, what has the movement for change been up to? And so we decided to, call up or to invite the one of their spokespersons, that's the man, lawyer Duke Sasu. He's a leading member, Movement for Change, Alan Chiramantin for president. He's joined us in the studio. Good morning, sir. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you, Maura.
It's a pleasure having you, sir.
My honor.
Right. Have you also heard people ask you the same question? That, hey, now you guys, since you make that big announcement, the Alan Chiramantin resigning, citing many reasons, and going ahead to form this movement, do you get people calling to say, Charlie, what have you guys been up to?
Yes. Once again, thank you, and let me say good morning to Ghanaians. Special greetings from Honorable Alan Kojo Chiramantin. I was with him last night, and his continuous confidence in the potential of this country remains consistent. His belief in the potential of young people, and his desire and passion for the opportunity to create further opportunities for young people is one that he continues to hold. And so he says that a very good morning to you all, and that the Movement for Change has come to stay.
Right.
Yes, we've had thousands of phone calls.
Okay.
Just this morning, I've received close to 20 phone calls this morning of people expressing interest in the campaign.
Really?
It's not just making inquiries. People saying that we are, excuse my words, we are sick and tired of a duopoly that lacks vision, of a duopoly of MPP and NDC that lacks direction, of a duopoly of MPP and NDC that seems to form a cult of an association that tries to trap Ghanaians into thinking that without them we cannot survive as a nation. But we are at a point in time in global affairs where there is a changing narrative of progress and development. And the conversation on the minds of young people is, what or where will they have opportunities? So within the past year, few years, we've seen a lot of young people, very brilliant young people, traveling out of the country to seek greener pastures because they cannot see any future for themselves within the confines of this country. And that is a sad narrative that needs to be addressed. The question then is, what vision does the NDC have to offer as an alternative? And so Alan, a few days ago, said that what we need is a plan and not a manifesto. But what we have had over the years is presidential aspirants projecting manifestos that lack consistency and a strategy that comprehensively puts forward how this nation can be put at the pinnacle of progress. And that ought to be addressed. And that is what Alan Chemantin represents. So yes, people have reached out, and we continue to engage them. And we've had hundreds of thousands of people who have already reached out to us, that they are willing to contribute, to support, some willing to give us their houses as offices for our campaign. And believe you me, there's a lot you're going to see in the coming weeks.
Interesting. And these guys who are calling and expressing interest to join you guys, are they expressing to join you guys? Are they people who belong to political parties or people who are they floating voters? Who are they? What kinds of people are they?
Quite surprisingly, we've had people within the NDC call us. We've had people within the MPP call us. We've had people within the CPP. We've had people who have never voted in their lives saying that they cannot see any future with the leadership of the MPP or the NDC. And that a third factor focused on the personality of the candidate is one they are looking for. Because within the character of our executive presidency is that the president wields executive power within the limits of our constitution. So they have come to an understanding that at the end of the day, how governance is, how the governance architecture runs is dependent on the agenda of the leader and not a party. So who they elect as their president will, at the long run, impact the general outlook of leadership within the country. So now they are looking for who to lead them and not a political party. Because political party structures have proven not to be effective in getting that done. That is not to say that the multi-party democracy that our constitution projects is one that we seek to undermine. But the question is, do the existing cult of political parties represent the interest of this country? And the answer is an emphatic no.
Interesting. So you've been going around region by region. I think you've done Ashanti and Greater Accra. What you're doing an orientation and onboarding session with these volunteers. Tell us about it. Tell us a bit about that.
So we've had, as I mentioned earlier on, we've had hundreds of thousands of people who have reached out to us expressing interest.
Okay.
So the people that you saw us engage are people who have reached out to us that they want to help Alan Chemantin engage households, go door to door and campaign for him.
Okay.
Because they realize that there is the need for them to take their future into their own hands. And so they said that, listen, we want to be part of your campaign process. We want to volunteer for you. So the people you saw in those videos are not people that we had ourselves probably invited or called that we want to meet you. These are people who had reached out to us. And so you are...
They transported themselves there?
Oh, yes. We didn't bus anybody there to our venues. We didn't bus a single person to our venues. And in the Ashanti region, what you saw was for people who are within the main Kumasi enclave. There was another onboarding session with almost 1,000 people in Obuasi.
Hey.
And you are going to see thousands of people in every single region in the coming weeks. So what I'm telling you is that Ghanaians have come to a realization that a visionless leadership is one that leads to a hopeless nation. It is important that they look for someone who has a track record both in the private sector, someone who within political leadership has distinguished himself, someone whose integrity is unrivaled, someone whose credibility and competence cannot be denied on any platform. Then they should rally their support behind that person. But at the core of it is someone who can unite the nation. Because Honorable Alan Chemantin concedes that within the confines of the MPP, the NDC, the private sector, even within our religious architecture, are people of competence. To the extent that the nature of our political system is such that it is a winner takes all. So our government structure tends to come to power as a party, and appointments are based on your allegiance to a party. What he says is that his independent movement allows him to mobilize a leadership structure across board no matter your ethnic background, irrespective of your political affiliation. But his only basis of selecting you to function with him within his political architecture or governance architecture is how competent are you and how credible are you. Then he then confines you within the limits of his plan, the great transformational plan. And that is what this country needs at this point in time.
So apart from so you've done Ashanti region.
Yes, we have.
You've done Greater Accra region. Do you have any idea how many people attended the Ashanti region onboarding and orientation session?
Yes, we had 3,500 people.
About 3,500.
We had about 1,000 in Obuasi.
Okay.
So if you put that together, that's about 4,500 people.
For 4,500 people. What target are you working with? So for instance, every month you want to say what targets are you working with? By the end or before we get to the election year, how many Ghanaians are you expecting to join officially that these are members of the movement?
We are expecting millions of Ghanaians to join.
Okay.
Because, quite frankly, with a
And it starts with the formation of these volunteer groups.
exactly.
They are supposed to go and multiply in terms of the membership of the movement.
Exactly.
That's the strategy.
And just after say Thursday, when we left Kumasi, just within 3 days,
Okay.
these volunteer groups, these volunteers have formed their own groupings that are already going house to house, going to shop,
Already?
trying to mobilize people to be a part of the volunteer process. And the reception has been massive. The militia have been massive, particularly in Ashanti region, saying that this is a man who historically identifies with the concept of trade. That is the base of how transactions are done within the Ashanti region.
Okay.
So it's not just a matter of whether or not his traditional identity is confined to the people in the Ashanti region, but the fact that even his ideals of trade reflects the traditional business culture of the Ashanti people.
Okay.
And that is something that they highly endear to.
Is this something he intends to do in all regions?
Oh, yes. Every single region. Every single region. We've had massive calls from the Volta region. We had calls from the northern region. We had calls from the Savannah region, from the western region, from the central region. So you are seeing.
Is it this message they're drawing to, or is it they're just tired of the duopoly and they're just looking for somebody to join? Or is the message that is
It's
attracting them?
It's a two-way dimension.
Okay.
Your message is as strong as your person.
True. Message and the messenger.
Exactly. So that you can make promises. But as to whether or not we should hold you to your promises, depending on your credibility. That is why your credibility and integrity is quite fundamental.
Right.
So they look at the fact that everybody is throwing out policies, structures here and there, but who can they tie a level of credibility to his persona that he will surely deliver?
Which is to say, can the person do it?
Can he do it? And has he done it before? And the answer is yes. Because Honorable Alan Chairman, right from the Empretech days, has created jobs in over 13 African countries. He's a doyen when it comes to job creation and its organization across Africa. The AFCTA, which is a celebratory mandate for the MPP, is his vision. He is the one who has driven the 1D1F, which they sing to today. So the point is that in terms of credibility and his process, it is one that you cannot deny. He's a man that you cannot tie him down with any element of corruption. So you look at these narratives and you compare him to the alternatives. Then your answer is, what do I stand to lose by supporting Alan Chairmantin? Is there the possibility of an alternative governance narrative with Alan Chairmantin? Is there a possibility of change with Alan Chairmantin? Is there a possibility of hope for young people with Alan Chairmantin?
Right.
Is there a possibility for prosperity of ordinary people with Alan Chairmantin? And the master says an emphatic yes.
Okay. We'll still talk about what you intend to do going forward. But here's the thing. There's a bit of a dilemma, and I need you to help me with this. I've seen some persons who say they are members of the New Patriotic Party. Hope Singh Adoye, the former Alhaji Boniface Abubakar Sadiq, says I continue to be a member of the NPP, but I admire the movement for change, and that's why I'm here to solidarize with them. How is that possible?
Well, once again, thank you. So
Yes.
I think I wanted to correct you on something.
Okay.
You mentioned that the Movement for Change is a new political party.
Yeah, it's a movement.
It's a movement.
Yeah,
it's a
sure.
political organization.
It's a political
not
organization.
party.
Yeah, it's not a party, yes.
And that's why we are calling for the diverse engagement of people, no matter your background,
Right.
ethnic, political, religious background. And a similar narrative happened in Kenya in 2013. The Jubilee Alliance. The Jubilee Alliance was an independent movement by then Uhuru Kenyatta and the current president of Kenya, William Ruto. And what they sought to do was to form a movement that was not politically aligned. But what they sought to do was to bring people of different political interest groups whom they believed were competent and credible to forge a future for the people of Kenya. It's exactly what you are seeing now. And that's why Honorable Alanche Martin says that, listen, all you need to do is to vote for competence by voting for Alanche Martin. Whether you want to vote for a parliamentary candidate in the NDC or MPP, do that. But his advice is that it should be based on competence and credibility. But in terms of voting for who holds or wields executive power and whom the Lord will use in largely determining the future of this country, it's important that you vote for someone who is not defined by political relationships, who is not defined by ethnic background, but defined substantially by his track record, his proven establishment, and his proven relationship with the Ghanaian people.
So it doesn't bother you that some of your top guys are still members or affiliated with the New Patriotic Party, but at the same time, they join your campaign activities. Can you trust?
Not at all. I think it's actually.
Can you trust them that they are fully committed? No. Because it's almost as if their loyalty is divided, isn't it?
Their loyalty is to the executive presidency.
Okay.
Their loyalty is to the Ghanaian people.
Right.
Their loyalty is to progress and prosperity. What they say is that allegiance to a state should override allegiance to a party. So that the challenge where political party allegiance is seeking to stampede and undermine our allegiance to the nation needs to be addressed. The challenge we are now having in this country is that political leaders, when they face challenges that are counterintuitive to the interests of the nation, tend to take positions as to how they can defend their parties to win the next election. But that shouldn't be the case.
Okay.
At the end of the day, within the limits of the directive principles of state policy and the Chapter 7 of the Constitution,
right,
provisions or comparatives that should be guiding principles and aspirations as to how this nation should be governed.
Okay.
So that should ultimately be our objective as a people.
Okay.
And at no point in time should we allow our political party affiliation to confine us into or prevent us from pursuing our agenda for this country in general. And that is why we should respect these individuals and give them a thumbs up. And trust me, in the coming weeks, you're going to see people in the NDC who actually show in their face for these very elements as well.
You've been asking people to contribute to financially to this project. How has the reception been? How's the feedback been like?
It's been very positive. Very positive.
Do you know how much money has been raised so far?
That I cannot.
You cannot tell.
Share. But what I can say is
but is it coming in thick and fast?
Oh yes, we have. We've had people sending in probably we've had a young guy sending 1 Ghana city, some people sending 10 cities, 100 cities. The message in that for us is that ordinary people, no matter the hardships they face in this country, want to contribute as small as possible. It shows a connection to the campaign. It shows their attachment to a quest for change. And so for us, it's not about the quantum for us. It's about the gesture. And that gesture is fundamental to saying that there's a buy-in of people, that there is the need for change.
Right.
One that is led by Alanche Martin.
So it's about the symbolism of it, isn't it?
Exactly.
The fact that the person wants to contribute.
Exactly.
You feel you appreciate the person doesn't have much, but the little they have.
Exactly.
But there are people who are still not convinced that this whole project will go far. I mean, they're taking you for granted. I mean, they're dismissing you outrightly. They're like, oh, these guys are joking. You know, they're not even good. They won't be able to even mobilize 100,000 followers by 2024. I'm sure you heard that too. What message do you have for people who are still skeptical about this movement? Won't call me. You guys are just, you're just rabble rousing.
I laugh about it.
Okay.
I laugh because I followed the elections in Nigeria. What's his name? There's an election in Nigeria, Peter Obi's elections. And I followed how he left the PDP, became a member of the Labour Party, and the level of ridicule that you had from the people on the APC and all that.
Right.
And he might not have won the election, but what Peter Obi taught us in Nigeria is that you cannot underestimate a people who are angry. You cannot underestimate a nation of young people who believe that there is a need for change.
Right.
And so when the masses come to understanding that a duopoly as an establishment have continuously failed them, and they come together for a common agenda, you cannot undermine them.
Okay.
They will show you that power resides in the people. Another fundamental reference point is in Benin, where Patrice Talon, as an independent candidate, shocked the establishment.
Okay.
He taught them that even as an independent candidate, I can destabilize the establishment.
Okay.
Patrice Talon is in the second term now as president in Benin.
Okay.
Contrary to all polls, contrary to all determinations and initial stages. My simple message is that Honorable Alan John Kwedo Chairmanton is a force to reckon with in this political space.
And he's in for business.
And he's in to win these elections. Alan John Kwedo Chairmanton will win these elections come December 2024. Alan John Kwedo Chairmanton will implement a great transformational plan that within 5 years will industrialize this country. Alan John Kwedo Chairmanton will lead a nation where 60% of his appointment will be young people aged between 23 and 45 years. Alan John Kwedo Chairmanton will lead a nation of national unity that brings aboard people from different backgrounds, irrespective of your cultural, ethnic, or religious political identity. Alan John Kwedo Chairmanton will make determination of appointment based on your competence, your character, and your credibility. Alan John Kwedo Chairmanton will win the next election.
So those who are underestimating you can continue to take out themselves and laugh.
Believe you me,
Okay.
those same individuals will end up joining our movement.
I hear you. So just a minute. The next minute, I just want to ask you about. So what's next? You're going around. So for now, the focus is on building these volunteer groups, or creating or forming these volunteer groups in the 16 regions of this country. And then after that, what's next?
That's what's happening. I'm sure the media will be briefed on all these as time goes on.
Okay.
But what I will say is that, of course, the volunteer program is happening.
Right.
You go to our social media handles, you will get a link where you can surely access and become a part of the movement. But we are having a lot of engagement, and these engagements are with people inviting us themselves, stakeholders within the religious space, within the cultural space, within the business community, and ordinary people, young people calling on Alan for different engagement because they want to be a part of the movement. So what we are doing now is having multi conversations as well.
Okay.
But at the core of this is making people understand our plan.
Okay.
A plan that is themed on stabilizing our economy, an economy that the MPP has trumpeted that the vice president is competent enough to deal with. Meanwhile, Ghana now has the 4th highest interest rates in the world.
So you haven't congratulated him yet.
And
Why?
we are.
You haven't congratulated him yet.
No. Honorable Alan will release a statement, an interview where
Yeah,
he
well, that's
congratulated
true.
him
Yeah.
a few days ago.
That's
He has done that.
Yeah.
But at the core of that is that he has also made us understand the fact that in congratulating them, this becomes probably the easiest electoral process for Honorable Alan in the history of body politics, because the candidature of John Mahama, who historically has a track record that undeniably young people cannot tolerate, and the fact that we have the 4th highest interest rate, only much better than Venezuela, Argentina, and probably Zimbabwe. The fact that Sri Lanka, a failed state, has a better interest rate than Ghana. The fact that coup d'etat hit Burkina Faso and the likes of Mali have better interest rates than us. That his identity of refining an economy is one that he wants to use as a base of his vision for this country. And at this point, his people like Honorable Opariansa don't even know his vision and are hoping to know what vision he'll bring on board. That tells you that he has no vision for this country. Same as John Mahama.
Just quickly,
and so,
how do you respond to those who say that, just quickly, just 30 seconds, how do you respond to those who say that even Alan Kwedo Chairmanton can't absolve himself entirely from the performance of this government as far as managing the economy is concerned, because he was a member of the economic management team?
Oh, yes.
So he's equally liable, he's equally guilty.
I think, and he has addressed that countless times.
Right.
And his address fundamentally has been the nature of an executive presidency.
Okay.
The fact that as a minister of state, you have to distinguish your role from the presidential holding powers.
Right.
That at the end of the day, you run with the agenda of the president. And we've given an example that NAPCO, which was meant to be a temporary employment program, had over 10 times the budgetary allocation for the 1D, 1F. So NAPCO was given greater premium by the president than what you have as to creating an industrial economy that stabilizes a job creation system for this country.
By
So
that party reason, can you then excuse the vice president?
Can we? No.
By that party reason.
The vice president
because an executive.
is the typical mentioning of I and my father are one. comes when there's a conversation of the vice president. The vice president came into office, trumpeting an agenda of being an economic messiah. And so when you come with that agenda, you cannot then put yourself on the conversation as to the fact that you have not. The vice president has been the most active vice president in the history of our country. And we need an activeness and opportunities. Okay. You cannot say that as the chairman who directs the narratives, you should be excused from that. And Alan Chairman will address these as the time goes.
Duke, it's a pleasure having you. Thank you so very much for your time. And we wish you guys well. I mean, we're monitoring from afar.
Thank you.
And, I have one of my producers here. He's called Tornado. I mean, he admires the movement for change. I mean, I'm not saying he's going to join, but he admires the movement for change. He's been monitoring progress. And maybe, you never know. You never know. He may express
I'm inviting you as well.
Yeah.
I'm inviting you. I'm inviting everybody.
Okay.
It's not just about us. It's not just about the movement.
It's everybody.
It's about everybody.
All right.
It's about our future.
All right, Duke. Thank you so very much for your time. What says one of our, one man here in charge of lighting, he also says he's interested. He's called Mr. Awutri.
Definitely.
Yes. He says he's interested in joining the movement for change. Yes.
Sure I signed them up on
sure, please do. If you have a paper here, please sign him up. Yes, he's interested. Anyway, thank you, Aaron. It's been a pleasure. He's also a private legal practitioner, and Duke Sasu has been my guest on the Inside Pages this morning. Let me just do this quickly before I take leave of you. Some of you have sent us loads of messages. I'm not sure I can read all, but I'll try. Yeah, so good morning, Audu. Honorable Paransa is one of the best MPP gurus that almost every party member admires. He's sincere and truthful to the grassroots and would not be surprised if he's giving a great role to play during Dr. Mahmoud Bamia's government because Doc is going to win big in 2024 elections. That's coming from Rahim in Nalerego. And this one here says, my name is TK from Dowenya. Before 2016 general elections, the co-founder and Bamia promised us a better Ghana, and we gave them the mandate. Now that I have realized that even as the other time, things are far better than now in terms of our pockets, I don't need anybody to tell me things are right. While I hardly eat once a day. If you ask, they say COVID and Russia. Well, I don't know. Rata from Tamale says, please, they are bringing the vice president to clear the perception that MPP is not an Akan party, to also prove that they have honored their promise to him. However, they know that he can never break the 8 at the moment. They don't mean well for him. Okay, that's come from Rata in Tamale. Kwame Nakra says the target of MPP as an Akan party by NDC even didn't make sense in the first place, because if it were, then the NDC itself will have never won any elections in Ghana, because Akans are more than 50% of the population of Ghana, and you need just 50% plus 1 to become president. Kwame from Accra. Seydou Liman, Bono East Regional Assistant Secretary, says good morning to you, also Honorable Apariansa and all your cherished viewers. In fact, Honorable Apariansa is such an intelligent and experienced person. His Excellency DMB will be his own president with his own vision and ideas for this nation. Everything about the man, Dr. Mahmoud Bamia, is about making history in all these endeavors. In our political discourse, for the first time in our electoral history, he shall lead MPP to break the 8 come December 7th, 2024. May Allah Almighty bless DMB, MPP, and Mother Ghana. Kindly tell Honorable Apariansa I love him so much and I follow him each day. Great mentor he is to me. Seydou Liman sends that message. This one from Nana Udro, a.k.a. Proverbs. He says, I'm watching you live from Nsawam, Edwajiri. Dr. Bamia and Nanado are the same. JDM is coming back again. MPP has failed Ghanaians. Maujo from Accra. Okay, I've read this. Okay, so, well, that's it. Thank you very much for watching Inside Pages. My name is Aldo Moro. Thanks to the production team. Have a great weekend. Bye-bye.